So what is going on, guys? I am Black Ops Amazing. Welcome back to another zombies video on the channel, back with another Q&A, taking your questions from the comment section below to do with the zombie storyline, Easter eggs, and answering them. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, you know what to do. Drop a like rating if you want to. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest videos on the channel, but let's get into it. Here we go. So the first question of today is from Jason Puller, and he says, why is the Centrum black and white at the beginning? Now, this is a question that I wish I could answer. To me, it doesn't really seem to make any sense. There's nothing we can really link into the fact that why is this the only map where it starts out in black and white? And we know the map doesn't regain its colour until we turn on the power. So why is this? You could say maybe it's due to the time period that it's set in, which is the 1960s, specifically 1963. I'm not too sure when colour television was invented or when it became big. I believe it was around the 60s, maybe the 70s. So I suppose you could say maybe that was what they were trying to go for. But we know there are so many maps that are older than this one that take place in like the 40s or even Origins, which is in 1918, and then we have maps in 2025 and 2035, so why exactly Ascension is the only one starting out in black and white? We don't really know. Like I said, the only thing I can think of is maybe they were going for a transition between black and white television to coloured, but for me that's a little bit strange. And what's even more weird is the fact that on the remastered version of it, when they brought it back in BO3, we don't start out in black and white this time, and instead the colours are, I guess you could say, dull, kind of like they've turned down the contrast or something like that. Again, why did they make that change from the original black and white to having the colours just duller until you turn the power on and it's restored back to normal? So it's odd. Other than that, I can't really think of any reason. If you guys have any, let me know in the comment section below. The next question from Hayden Millam says, why does Richtofen attack the Tranzit crew if he wants to help them? So we know in Black Ops 2, whilst Richtofen was in control of the zombies, he used the Tranzit crew down on Earth to do things for him. Since Richtofen was stuck inside of the MPD on Moon, there was no way of him physically doing things down on Earth. We know since the 3 rockets hit, it severed Richtofen's connection to the ether, and so he used the Tranzit crew in order to fix it for him by linking the pylons. But as you say, at the same time, he was also sending the zombies after them. Richtofen wanted the Tranzit crew to help him out, yet at the same time, he sent the zombies to attack them. Why would he do that? You would think surely that's just hurting Richtofen's plan. The Tranzit characters could have ended up being killed, the zombies could have ended up stopping them, so if Richtofen wanted their help, why would he also send the zombies after them? Well, the reason for this is so that the Tranzit crew have a reason to actually help Richtofen. If you think about it, if there were no zombies on Earth, or if they weren't going to attack the Tranzit crew, then those set of characters really would have no need to help Richtofen. If they felt safe, if they could have potentially gone back to their homes or just done whatever they wanted to, if they didn't need any help because the zombies weren't after them, then more than likely the Tranzit characters wouldn't have helped him. And Richtofen knew this, being the manipulative person that he is. Remember that this old Ultima's version of Richtofen that was inside of the MPD was evil, he was corrupted by the Dark Ether, he was using the Tranzit characters, and as we see here, he was tricking them. He sent the zombies after them to make them feel worried, to make them feel like they need help, and to also make them think that Richtofen was the only one that could have got them out of this state, that could have eventually freed them from the zombies. Richtofen wanted them to feel worried, and the other reason he sent the zombies after them was to keep them moving. If the characters ever felt safe from the zombies, or that they really didn't have to rush, Richtofen's grand scheme to fix his connection to the ether on Earth might not have happened. So the reason why Richtofen sent the zombies after the crew, even though he wanted their help, was to make them feel worried, to make them think that Richtofen was the only guy that could get them out of this situation, and also to keep them moving, make sure they don't get too comfortable. The next question of today from Disco Duck 485 says, hey BOA, when the game ends, why do the zombies' heads explode? Love your videos, keep up the good work. So this was something I never really noticed until I actually saw this comment. Or maybe I had seen it before but never really took any notice. But you can see on Black Ops 2, I don't know if this was on BO1, World at War BO3 or 4, but now that I think about it, I definitely noticed it on Black Ops 2. You can see here specifically on Tranzit. I'm playing on Town for this gameplay, but you can see when the game ends, when you go down, as you get the loading out screen and the camera pans forward, all of these zombies that are left alive on the map, their heads explode and then they die. You can see as soon as the Tranzit characters die, all of the zombies around them die as well. Why is this though? We said in the previous question that at this point in time, Richthofen is in control of the zombies. He was sending them after the transit crew. If the transit crew died, then obviously the zombies wouldn't need to attack them anymore, and so did Richthofen kill them off? We know that the transit crew did die many times in not only this map, but Die, Rise and Buried, and every time that happened, they would be brought back to life, the cycle would be reset. So possibly since the transit crew are an integral part of the cycle, once they die, the zombies are not needed, and so they're killed off, their heads explode, maybe they just die themselves. I don't know, it's a difficult one to explain because it doesn't happen on all of the zombies games by Treyarch. Maybe it only happens in BO2 because of the severed connection between the zombies and the ether, and so as soon as the transit crew die, that could explain why the zombies die after as well. I really don't know. Like I said, it's not something I've ever really noticed before. I don't think it's ever really been something that anyone's brought up. It's just happened. It's not in the canorium and no one's spoken about it. But it's an interesting point to bring up. Again, if you have any ideas, then let me know in the comment section below. Maybe it's Richtofen that kills them off, or they do it themselves, or it's just something that happens after our characters die. The next question of the day from Enlightened Evie says, are the denizens bios? So in the zombies comics, if you've read them, we know that part of the transit crew's journey after Buried was travelling to a Broken Arrow research facility, and when they were there in cages, they discovered the bios. The bios were creatures, experiments that Broken Arrow were doing. So what exactly are the bios? We see from the pictures in the comics that they are loads of different animals, ranging from monkeys to rabbits. It's actually really difficult to tell originally what these animals were because they are so deformed from what they originally would have been. I can imagine that Broken Arrow have experimented on these animals so much that they look nothing like what they should do. I mean, you can see the spines coming out of some of their backs, and they have like horns on their head and just weird sharp alien teeth and tongues. So it's hard to tell originally what a lot of these bios would have been, but yes, they look like they were animals that were experimented on, kind of like humans, how they turn from, you know, people to zombies. Even though they look quite similar to their former selves, there are a lot of differences. It's the same with these. Russman actually told us that they are called the bios because they were part of the first live test with animals and biology, so I guess that's where they got the name from, biology or bio, and he says that they were creating them to win the Cold War. However, as we see, things clearly went wrong. And so getting back to your question, are the denizens the bios? Although we're not told it, I would probably say yes. We know the denizens were also created by Broken Arrow. Looking at them, we can't really tell what animal they originally would have been. Maybe some kind of monkey, or I don't know, an animal with a tail and a big head. It could have looked nothing like this originally. It's just that their experiments have caused its shape to change a lot. But yes, it does seem like the denizens are one of Broken Arrow's failed bio experiments. And you know what, if we actually ended up playing as the transit crew again, maybe in DLC 3, there were a lot of rumours that for DLC 2 we were going back to Nuketown with the transit crew. Of course that didn't happen, but maybe in DLC 3 if that ended up coming true, or even if, like I said, we did play as the transit characters again, which I think could be likely because they still have a massive part in our storyline. I'd love to see more of Broken Arrow and more bios. Maybe not the denizens returning, they were a little bit annoying, but there are so many more animals that they created, and there are a lot of cool looking ones in the comics that I'd like to see, and actually they look really scary. Jaden Vera says, hey BOA, why are there only women on Transit and not other maps? Also, love your vid. So this is a strange question. You might think it's a little bit weird, but when you think about it, the zombies are of course people, they're humans, yet in pretty much every map, as you said, besides from Transit and maybe a couple of others, all of the zombies are men. Now, you could also say, what about children? But you could say the excuse for that is, well, a lot of video games with violence don't actually have children in them. I think people would probably beat up a kid. I mean, so we have a reason for that. Maybe not a storyline reason, because again, you would think in a place like Transit, Washington, Hanford, of course there's going to be children living around this area. There's none in the map, but you could say, well, of course it's an 18 game, they're not going to have children in it to give us the chance to shoot a child. Even though it's a zombie, and probably not the best thing to do. That's just most games, but women, well, in pretty much every map besides from Tranzit, and maybe a few others I can't remember off my head, there really isn't any zombie versions of them. I would say, well, maybe in our older maps like, I don't know, Shino Numa, Derice, Verrucht, since they were Group 935 research facilities. Of course, I don't know, but maybe there weren't women working there, or weren't too many. But then again, you could say we have people like Sophia in our zombie storyline. We know she was a Group 935 employee. And then again, other maps like Ascension and Call of the Dead. And then even later on, we have Blood of the Dead or Denizens in BO3. There really is no women zombies. So either Treyarch forgot, or maybe it was just men working at these facilities. I don't know. I just thought it was a good question to bring up because actually it's something I've never, again, really paid attention to. It's something I haven't really noticed until you bring it up and you think, huh, actually, that's true. But anyway, guys, there we go. That is it. That is all I have for you for today's video. As always, hopefully you have enjoyed. If you have, you know what to do. Drop a like rating if you want to. If not, it's totally fine. Thank you guys for watching anyway. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest videos on the channel. And of course, I will see you all in the next video. Until then, goodbye.